After a slow start to the season, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City are flying high and look like the most realistic title contenders as things stand. Interestingly enough, they've been playing without a natural striker, making Pep Guardiola's side all the more tactically intriguing. With inverted fullbacks, possession-based football and goals galore, Manchester City have been a joy to watch in recent months. This is RDF's and the Mastermind's latest tactical analyst into the mind of Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City team. My name is RDF and welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you the greatest Football Manager 2021 tactics. So before we get started with this invincible and treble winning tactic, make sure you are subscribed to my channel if you aren't yet. Make sure you leave a comment and like this video. Let's get this video out there. As normal for a Pep Guardiola side, Manchester City haven't exactly had a set starting 11 this season. However, in recent times, a few key figures have emerged along with a consistent formation. João Cancelo, the Portuguese fullback, has been one of City's best players this season, contributing the most tackles and interceptions to the team. Further forward, he's also had impact, creating 2 chances per game, to which only Mahrez and Bruyne have created more. John Stones and Ruben Dias have also received much in the way of praise for their recent performances. Ahead of the back four, Rodrigo is finally fulfilling his Fernandinho promise, but has been massively helped by his partnership in midfield with Gundogan, an excellent ball-playing midfield maestro. With a natural 6, 8 and number 10 in their lineup, City can chop and change their 4-3-3 to seamlessly transition into a 4-1-4-1, a 4-2-3-1, or their 2-3-5 with inverted wingbacks as the part of 3. Guardiola's front 3 has been less consistent in terms of team selection, including 9 different players fulfilling the role as the striker during matches in the league this season. Ferran Torres, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez have all played their part as a result. Now let's talk about how City have used their players to achieve much in the way of success this season en route to a Premier League title chase. Guardiola's teams always have a strong desire to play out from the back and have done so over the years in various ways. Manchester City's key method of build-up is inverted fullbacks, as already discussed. With the fullbacks often abandoning their wide position, it's important that the central diamond of Ederson, Stones, Diaz and Rodrigo can keep hold of the ball. City don't rush forward with long passes over the top. Instead, they keep hold of the ball with all 11 players in constant cahoots over where to exploit space. The depth that City achieve in build-up phases is also important, with all 11 players in relatively close proximity to the ball and in a reasonable enough position to receive the ball should they be required to. It's nearly impossible to mention anything to do with City's tactics under Pep Guardiola without mentioning the use of inverted wingbacks or fullbacks. The primary reason for this tactic is to create overloads in central areas while simultaneously stretching the field wider. Now it might seem complicated to achieve both of these things at the same time, but it's actually quite simple how City managed to achieve both width and centrality through their inverted wingbacks. As opposition players drift infield themselves to try and mitigate the presence of the inverted wingback, more room opens up in the wide areas for City to exploit. It's important to note here that despite the inverted approach from the fullbacks, the wingers generally remain very wide for City, hugging the touchline at every opportunity. As you can see in the example image, it then becomes very difficult for the opposition teams to assess exactly how and where to cover the space and how effectively to pressure the ball. If, for example, the left fullback on the blue team covers Mahrez, Cancelo and or De Bruyne might have more space to advance into. If the blue central midfielder abandons De Bruyne to pressure Cancelo, a number of different players could exploit that space. It's also not as though City's fullbacks are never wide in build-up phases. To say that would be untrue. On goal kicks, they might even start wide and then drift infield as City progress with the ball, or they might invert one at a time, attempting to gain an overload in one specific area of the field, the opposite one from the inverted wingback. Verticality and space interpreting. All of City's players are masters of the art when it comes to interpreting space. Much of the space interpreting comes from central areas, especially when they are trying to play through the opposition and find a route to the goal. With the 8 outfield players plus Ederson that operate in these areas during City's build-up, no other team in the league has adopted a more vertical approach to their attack this season than Manchester City. 29% of Manchester City's attacks have happened centrally. Their inverted wingbacks are critical to this verticality, which in turn opens up greater avenues for Gundogan and De Bruyne to receive in space. If Cancelo is unable to find De Bruyne and Gundogan in that example, he can go wide to Morris to hold the ball and find the two in space later on. He can also find the false 9, as the two midfielders will then make their runs in behind. City's use of inverted wingbacks isn't just about the fullbacks, it's about opening up greater space in between the lines for Gundogan and De Bruyne to receive, something the team and the two players as individuals have done to a magnificent effect this season. It's also important to note that the lack of natural number 9 has opened up more emphasis for Gundogan and De Bruyne to push forward. Both are incredibly astute at finding space, but have greater license to find space higher up the pitch and create goal-scoring opportunities due to City's lack of striker. Manchester City in numbers. Manchester City are a dominant side, and that comes with no surprise. Creatively, they have been superb and have created the most shot actions so far, with 566 shot creating actions, that's 25.73 per 90, and also have the second highest XG in the Premier League with an XG of 42.4, that's 1.3 per 90. The three main ways City create their chances are by live ball passes, dribbling and defensive actions that led to a shot. In possession, they also like to dominate, and no other side has completed more passes than Manchester City this season. Defensively, Manchester City are very solid too, and they have a very good press, but statistically that may not show as they are constantly on the ball, so naturally defensive statistics such as tackles won or pressures may be low compared to the rest of the teams in the league. With some crucial games coming up in the next few weeks, Manchester City could begin to run away with the rest of the pack if they continue their impressive unbeaten run, but if they don't, you can expect to watch some tactically intriguing football, including exceptional build-up and smooth defensive transitions to win the ball back quickly. As if it were even possible, Manchester City have improved this season under Pep Guardiola, despite not having a natural number 9 in their side for the majority of their games. The manager deserves immense amount of credit for that alone. We are now going to look at the Pep Guardiola 4-3-3 masterclass in Football Manager 2021, created by myself. So as you can see, for the competitions, the Premier League winners Manchester City, we played 38, we won 32, we drew 6 and we didn't lose a game, getting 102 points. I said earlier we were invincible, and you can see it right here, we did not lose a single game. But in the Champions League, we also won that, just smashing Benfica in the final 5 goals to none. We had a 3.3 XG that game, and we had 50% of the ball, but they did have 10 men. In the Emirates FA Cup, we did beat Liverpool 5-2 in the final. It looks like we like scoring 5 goals in the final, but that game wasn't so smooth. We did have 9 shots, they had 14. We did have the better XG slightly, and we did have a better possession slightly also. In the Carabao Cup, we did get knocked out in the semi-final, so we didn't get to win all 4 trophies, but we did win a treble, which is obviously good enough. Let's look at the tactic now. So here we are, the Pep Guardiola 4-3-3 created by myself. In goal, we have the sweeper keeper on the support duty. He is going to be a part of the diamond in deeper areas when we are trying to build up possession. He is going to link up between the 2 central defenders and the defensive midfielder. So that is the reason why I gave the goalkeeper the sweeper keeper role on the support duty. In defense, we have 2 central defenders. Now a lot of people may go for ball playing defenders, but they tend to look for the key passes. They tend to set the tempo. They don't really want to play safe and keep possession of the ball, which I feel Manchester City do, especially when it comes to the diamond here. So that's the reason why I went for 2 central defenders. On the flanks, we do have 1 inverted wing back and we have 1 fullback. Like I said in the analyst, Manchester City sometimes take turns in when to invert, and not necessarily both do it at the same time all the time. So for the right back, I gave it to Cancelo, considering he is the more impressive player so far, so I gave him the inverted wing back on the support duty. The left back, he is going to act similar to an inverted wing back, so for his instructions I am asking him to cut inside and sit narrower when we are in possession to be more a part of the build up, but also give me that shape of the 2-3-5 that is going to happen. In defensive midfield, I have gone with the anchor man. Now, we have a few roles we could have went for. We could have went for the defensive midfield on the defend duty. We could have went for the deep line playmaker on the defend duty. Possibly the ball winning midfielder, depending how you see this role. The reason why I went for the anchor man is simply because he doesn't leave his position too often, and his main job is to sit in the hole between the defense and the midfield. So he's going to hold his position, he's going to play safe with the ball. Playing safe isn't what a deep line playmaker will do. An anchor man will do that to great effect. A defensive midfielder may also do that, but his key job, as we can see in the description, is to hold the ball whilst the defense and attack are organizing themselves after a period of the opposition's pressure. So when using the defensive midfielder, you are kind of expecting the opponents to have the ball, but we are not. We are expecting us to have the ball, and an anchorman is also a great role to offer protection against the counter-attack. In central midfield for the Gundogan role, I gave him the box-to-box midfielder. Gundogan has been used in various different roles this season. If we want him to act more like a Mazzala, then we can add get further forward and stay wider. Then he will start to act more as a Mazzala when he is carrying his midfield duties. But by default, I have given him take more risks so he can try and split the defense open and move into the channel, so when the false 9 drops deeper, he can move into the channels and get in beyond the false 9. For the Kevin De Bruyne role, I have given him the Mazzala on the attack duty. We all could have possibly guessed that role. That is a role probably most of us would choose. Some may go for the advanced playmaker on the attack duty, but then he won't be able to move into the channels like a Mazzala would. On the flanks, we have gone with one inverted winger and one inside forward. The reason being, Sterling on the left, he tends to have more touches in the opponent's box than maybe Mahrez or Foden, who would play on the right hand side. So with that little detail, I have given Sterling the inside forward role and Mahrez the inverted winger role. The inverted winger would look more to overload in the central area, whilst the inside forward would look to make that more lateral run in behind and stretch the opponent more. But for the instruction, I have asked the inverted winger to hold his position. I have asked the inside forward to hold his position. In fact, they have identical instructions. The reason being, Pep Guardiola's wingers have to stay wider. They are basically almost touching or hugging the touchline. Once they receive the ball, yes, they will cut inside with the ball. But when building up, they have to stay wider. So that is the reason why I gave them stay wider, but it's also the reason why I gave them hold position. Given the positive mentality and the positive nature of these roles, I have given them hold position to stop them roaming from their position and leaving that position. Their job is very simple but important. And up top, of course, we have gone for the false 9. By default, I gave him roam from position. But in Football Manager, the false 9 kind of struggles a little. Well, you can perform good, but they don't perform great. So in order to try and get my false 9 to get a better average rating, he has to score a little more goals, and to do so, I gave him move into channels and shoot more often. Those were the player roles. We are now going to look at the team instructions. So the mentality, we have gone for the positive mentality, going to knock the ball about but in a more positive manner. For the attacking width, we have gone for fairly narrow. Now our players have to be kind of close to each other in order to receive that short pass. So that is the main reason why I went with the attacking narrow width, but also to try and channel our play in central areas. For the approach play, I have gone for the pass into space. People may be asking why. The main reason being is because Manchester City like to attempt through balls. Once we have created our space and we are ready to exploit it, the players exploiting that space need to receive the ball into their path rather to their feet. Once we get the ball into the path, then Manchester City can become more dangerous and create better chances. We also gone for the play out of defence. That is kind of self-explanatory. For the passing directness, I have gone with shorter to try and keep possession of the ball a little bit better, and therefore it set the tempo to a standard tempo. Not too fast and certainly not too slow to break those defensive sides down. In the final third, I've gone with low crosses. We have no physical presence in the box and we are going to be working the ball into the box. Manchester City have attempted the most dribbles, so really we could have went for the run at the defence, but the inside forward already has dribble more, the inverted winger already has dribble more, so does the false 9, so that makes our front three all dribbling more. But with the positive mentality, naturally our players may look to dribble more anyway. With the creative freedom, a lot of people who recreate Pep Guardiola's tactics like to be more expressive. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. The reason why I don't is simply, again, because of the wingers. Some players actually have certain jobs they need to carry out on the pitch. If I want my wingers to stay wide and be disciplined in that role, Of course, I can use hold position, but also with the creative freedom, I really wouldn't use be more expressive. In transition, when the possession has been lost, we are going to counter press in order to try and gain possession of the ball. When possession has been won, I haven't given them an instruction. Again, a lot of people like to hold shape when recreating Pep Guardiola's side, but once you have created the space, me personally, I like to exploit that space as quick as possible. Once that space has been created in advanced areas, his teams like to exploit that before the opponents can get in their defensive shape. If I use hold shape now, I might be actually giving the opponents more time to get into their defensive shape. When the goalkeeper is in possession with the ball, he is going to be slowing the pace down, he will distribute it to the centre backs, and he will be taking short kicks. For out of possession, for the defensive shape, we are going to be using the offside trap. In real life, Manchester City can operate from a high to mid block. So for the defensive line, I have gone with the higher defense line. I could have went with the standard, but that is just a little too low for a Pep side, so I went with the higher defense line. For the line of engagement, again, you have two options. You can either go for a higher line of engagement, or you can go for a much higher line of engagement. For the defensive width, we have set that to standard. For the pressing intensity, we are on extremely urgent. Again, try and win the ball back to be in possession of the ball, and we are preventing the short goalkeeper distribution. If you want a performance like they did against Chelsea, then you might opt against using prevent short goalkeeper distribution. But that is the tactic and the team instructions for this Pep Guardiola recreation. Now, there are tweaks when I played Liverpool away, when I played Chelsea away, when I played Manchester United away. I like to use some of the tweaks that he may use in real life, so like removing prevent short goalkeeper distribution, like dropping your line of engagement down by one. But what I have done on numerous occasions against the big sides is change my passing directness to standard. So with the positive mentality, if you knock the passing down by one, it will also knock the tempo down by one. If I put it back to the middle, then the tempo will also increase to slightly higher. But that is a tweak that I did. For the set pieces, in the test, I actually used default. I didn't use this set piece routine that I am giving you guys right now. The reason why I'm giving you the routine is hopefully the tactic can be more successful and effective for you. But in this test, I didn't use it. And you would notice with the goals from corners result, we only scored 3 goals from corners. That should indicate that we didn't use any set piece routines. But with the downloadable tactic, it will come with a corner routine. That is the tactic. Let's look at the results now, because we have some fantastic results to show you. Just like the average possession, Manchester City ranked number 1 with the average possession, averaging 60% of the ball. That is probably the highest I have achieved on Football Manager 2021 so far. For the goals, we scored the second most goals, coming second to Liverpool, so no shame there. But we did create the most expected goals for, with 70.57 expected goals for. We got a huge amount of penalties, probably down to our dominance in the opponent's box. They clearly couldn't handle the dominance, and we managed to get 19 penalties from it. Our pass completion ratio, we had a 91% pass completion ratio, and for the passes completed, we ranked number 1 with 19,639 passes completed. We also created the most clear-cut chances in the league with 30 clear-cut chances created. And we had the best conversion rate in the league. Our attacking statistics are just absolutely fantastic in this test. And we also managed to complete the most dribbles replicated in real life so far, with 167 dribbles made. We had the best defense in the league, well, literally by far. We only managed to concede 16 goals, we had 25 clean sheets, and we had the least shot against us. And just like in real life, we don't win many tackles, and we don't win the possession that much. Now for the goals, and possibly the biggest surprise, Kevin De Bruyne was this top goal scorer for Manchester City and came in second in the Premier League. He managed to score 22 goals in the Premier League alone. He was on absolute fire. He also ended the season with the highest expected goals. He finished the season with the highest average rating, so he was completely on fire. Laporte came in 3rd, Mendy came in 5th, Walker came in 6th, Sterling came in 7th, Rodri is there in 10th, Diaz is there. You know what? There's just a bunch of Manchester City players in this list. Kevin De Bruyne also had the most player of the match awards with 11. Kevin De Bruyne was just the best player by far. He played the most key passes, and he also had the most assists. So listen to this. He scored 22 goals. He had the most assists. He had the highest expected goals for. He had the highest key passes. He created the most clear-cut chances, as we can see here, with 10. He was absolutely fantastic. So now let's look at the squad stats. Kevin De Bruyne with the most goals, 25 goals. Jesus with 16, Bernardo Silva with 14, so too Raheem Sterling, Ferran Torres managed to get 12 and Sergio Aguero got 10. For the top assist, Kevin De Bruyne by far with 21, Sterling is there in second place with 12, Riyad Mahrez managed to get 10, Kyle Walker also managed to get 10. And now last but certainly not least, we have the training schedules. Now a lot of people always ask me about the training schedule, so here it is. But if there are 2 matches in the week, so that there is the end of the video. RDS Pep Guardiola's 4-3-3 masterclass with inverted wingbacks, a false 9, possession-based football and goals galore. All of this analysis is brought to you by myself and the Mastermind site, so make sure you check out the website. The link will be in the description. My name is RDF. Make sure you are subscribed, make sure you like this video and leave a comment. I will see you soon. Peace out and stay safe. Thank you.